in him. Tell me about this Trump act.
I'm a diehard Trump supporter. In my household, you got Martin Luther King, you got Jesus, and you got Donald Trump.
Wait a minute.
Not in that particular order, but yeah, you got Martin Luther King, Jesus, and Donald Trump.
There's this video making the rounds of Charleston White, who is very provocative, talking about why he supports Donald Trump.
In him. Tell me about this Trump act.
I'm a diehard Trump supporter. In my household, you got Martin Luther King, you got Jesus, and you got Donald Trump.
Wait a minute.
Not in that particular order, but yeah, you got Martin Luther King, Jesus, and Donald Trump.
Why you got Donald Trump? Now, you know, well, I'm a straight Democrat, but I'm for the best person.
Yes,
but
sir.
now, why you got Donald Trump?
Because I paid attention in school when I was a kid, and so I know the true history of both the Republican and Democratic Party. I know that they really didn't switch during the Nixon Southern strategy, that one became more clever than the other in dealing with black people. We the Democrats, we got away, we were the Republicans' friends. We was their friends, but we were the Democrats. When you look at the origins of the Ku Klux Klan, it originated out of the Democratic Party.
The Ku Klux Klan?
It did.
Okay.
Every civil rights legislation that ever has been passed in this country was authored, written, sponsored, and voted on 100% by Republicans and not Democrats. Every civil rights legislation.
Well, what you gonna do?
So let me finish about Trump.
Right.
So as a kid, I remember being 6, 7 years old and seeing Donald Trump receiving an award with Muhammad Ali, Rosa Parks from the NAACP. Not only that, he engaged and interacted in our culture from the 80s throughout the 90s and even the 2000s, from rappers to Michael Jackson. So when we looked out into our culture, his face appeared many, many times. So for me to grow up now and then hear the media, because before the media started saying he was racist, I never heard a black leader say it. I never heard my grandmother say it. I never heard no one even mention anything bad about him other than rappers giving him praise in over 300 to 600 rap songs. So for the media to say, oh, he's racist, I knew they were playing con on us. And I can remember when America was great. I can remember when black children could play outside all day long and you didn't hear about kids being kidnapped. You didn't hear about drive-by shootings. I remember when black people celebrated Juneteenth. We ate together on Sunday. That was great during those times. So I remember when America was great. And you talking to a 46-year-old man who's first generation kid who got to experience Dr. King's dream of going to school and holding hands and living next door to white people. Black people really didn't do that in the 70s. They done it in the 80s when I grew up.
So I'm playing that video to kind of jumpstart this conversation about whether or not people that vote for the Republican Party are sellouts. See, the prevailing narrative in the black community is that if you vote for a Republican, that you are a sellout, that you are bowing down to white culture. Similar to the video that I made talking about black men dressing in suits are being assimilated into white culture, as if looking respectable is not black. So if you're telling me that looking respectable is not black, then you're saying that looking disheveled, looking ratchet is black. But who is telling you that? Who is telling black culture that looking ratchet, looking disheveled, looking ghetto is black? I'll tell you who. That's the entertainment industry, and that's the Democratic Party and the liberals and the Marxists who want and have infiltrated the black community with this filth. See, people don't understand the history of black people after slavery, during the Jim Crow period, and during Reconstruction. You know, black people were Republicans. The first black representatives on the federal level, the first black senators on the federal level, people that were promoting the dysfunction and destruction of the black community were Democrats. Did you know that? Did you know that marriage rates were much higher in the black community prior to the civil rights movement? Did you know that entrepreneurship was much higher in the black community prior to the civil rights movement? Did you know that black communities were thriving prior to the civil rights movement? Did you know that? You probably didn't, because the media, when they talk about, oh, we're banning books, people want to rewrite history, it's the liberals and the Marxists that want to rewrite history. It's people that support the 1619 Project and things like that that want to rewrite history, that want to tell black people that they have been permanent serfs in this nation. Well, that's a flat out lie. I recently found out that my grandfather on my dad's side grew up in Alabama, and lived there during Jim Crow, and lived there after emancipation. Did you know what party he was a part of? The Republican Party. You want to know why? Because the Republican Party were the friends of black people. The Republican Party was a vehicle that allowed black people to ascertain their agency. Like I say on this channel all the time, there is an agenda, and that agenda has been carried out to drive God, to drive agency out of the black community. It has been successful through music, through entertainment, through athletics, and through politics. When black people started voting en masse for the Democratic Party, that's when the culture started to shift, because the Democrats knew they had black people in their back pocket. So what did they do? They started putting things in place to keep black people subservient, to keep black people oppressed. It's the greatest racket that's ever been run in this country. It's greater than slavery, because slavery is only run by a few people. Only rich white people had slaves, and some black people had slaves. But the greatest racket ever run on black people is this idea that the Democratic Party is their friend. But yet, what kind of friend do you want that has allowed you to stay in poverty, that has allowed your communities to disintegrate into chaos, that has allowed your families to be destroyed, and yet you call that person your friend? All for some crumbs off the table. Yet the black person who decides to think for themselves, who wants to vote because they have a mind that is free, a mind that is based upon the truth found in the biblical scriptures, that person is considered a sellout, and Uncle Tom a coon.
Accused of having sold out. And I find this actually quite interesting, because I've actually given this a great deal of thought. Black marriage rates were significantly higher before the civil rights movement compared to after. Children were more likely to grow up in a two-parent household before the civil rights movement as opposed to after. Black men were more entrepreneurial and more self-reliant before the civil rights movement as opposed to after. And so for me, when I look at my own life and I look at my own values, they are more indicative of the average Southern black man prior to the civil rights movement. And so I haven't sold out. I've kept in continuation with my father, with my great grandfathers and my great great grandfathers. I'm a continuation of that. I've maintained that culture. If anyone has sold out, it's you all. It's Black culture. Y'all sold out the entrepreneurial spirit, the family unit. Y'all sold out of that in pursuit of what? The entertainment industry's version of what Black culture is. If voting is any kind of measure of where a person stands in terms of how they identify, the fact that 90+% of Black folks vote for Democrats, the party that basically reinforces everything the entertainment industry says Black culture is, if anyone has sold out, it's those who insist upon the modern entertainment culture that you now call Black culture. I'm not the one who sold out, sir. You are.
Because they've been convinced, the majority of black people have been convinced that the Democratic Party and the culture that it promotes, and the culture that the media and the culture that the entertainment industry promotes for black people is this box right here. And any black person that steps outside of that box is a sellout, is a threat, is anti-black. And that is the trick. That is the racket that has been run on black people. That's why I tell people all the time on this channel, we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness, because we are, because we come from greatness. We come, first of all, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you have greatness on the inside of you. And that's another thing that's been run. The same black churches, the black bougie elite, they all have been complicit in this dumbing down, in this degrading of black people. They all have been complicit because black, quote unquote, civil rights leaders exchanged the progress made after the civil rights movement for political power. And where did that political power come from? The Democratic Party. You have to understand this. This is why I speak out and tell the truth about what's really going on in the black community, what's really going on when it comes to how Democrats really see black people. They don't see black. That's why they don't do anything for the black community, because they don't have to. Because black people have been hoodwinked. They have been duped. Well, it's time for us to wake up and recognize what has been going on. Stop that racket. to break up that racketeering ring that's been going on in the black community, to break up the one that have been perpetuating this filth in the black community, in the black culture. Because we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness, and we need to recognize that truth.